Thank you for joining us this Wednesday afternoon as we get started on answering the question, is it wise to start a business during a recession? I mean, folks, hey, what better way to help break through the ice on whether you should start a business really at all versus whether you should even start a business during a recession. So Patrick and I are going to share that with you today and hopefully keep you informed about some of the things you need to know about, some things you need to be looking out for. And obviously, as you're looking into a business, you really need to know how to make sure that you're doing your research. Everything is centered around our platform, which is called the iClaim EMRx platform. And so it's driven and powered by NextGen. So as you're doing your research, you can always go out and see that. But what's great about us being partnered with such a big company like NextGen is that you've got added service and added support and how to implement and get your doctors involved in this. And so you're not just by yourself. So just think about it. You're not going out there buying a piece of software and hopefully that you're going to be able to get it logged into your computer and keep up with all the data points that you need for that. That's all part of what we've got here for you in and through the EMRx system. And plus, not only do we have the iClaim and EMRx system for you, but we have other services. And some of you that have been on past webinars, you certainly know how all that works. And it's really good to help you out there. Also associated with NextGen, we are also associated with several other different technology partners that help us deliver to you and to your doctors everything that you need to have access to continue to keep growing your business. Now, speaking of the business, Patrick and Linda Phillips, who are good friends of my wife and me, have had this business for over 30 years because they actually started doing billing before they actually started American Business Systems. But ABS is in its 28th year. Obviously, within a few more months, be celebrating 29 and on the verge of turning 30. And what an exciting time that's going to be in another year or so. Patrick is not only the founder of American Business Systems, but he is also an author, and he has authored several books. One of the first books I ever read from him was How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. He, along with the foreword from Shad Helmslester, was just an incredible book to read, and you get that book on Amazon.com. But the other two are very important for you as you're starting to get your business going here with American Business Systems. And that's the New Thriving Medical Practice and Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the presentation this afternoon. Also, ABS and its members here are members of the editorial board for Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. And so Patrick's written articles for that. Our CEO now, Adam Phillips, has written articles for that. And it's good to know that just recently he was actually, we did a big press release through the Billing and Coding Advantage magazine showing that Adam Phillips is our newly crowned CEO there. But it still means that Patrick is still around and he is still the founder. And so it's good to have him on the webinar today. We are also associated with a group called MIRMA. MIRMA is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, and they are the ones that supply you. Once you've completed your training here with American Business Systems, you are certified by MIRMA as a certified medical revenue manager. So for those of you who are trying to figure out, gosh, do I need to go back to school? Do I need to go get a certificate? Do I need to get a diploma in medical billing? You don't need that at all. Because remember, we're not a school. We are a business opportunity, and being part of a business opportunity, we're going to train you in everything that you're going to be get trained on. As a matter of fact, when we go through today's presentation, Patrick's going to pull up some behind the scenes information about what you're actually going to get in training. So listen, folks, without any more of the introduction, I'm going to bring Patrick on here. So Patrick, it's good to see you. You look like you're in the big, beautiful library there. And man, what an incredible place you have there. You're on mute.
You know, that picture you just showed of me was probably, gosh, it was several years ago. That was back when I was good looking and young.
Yes.
So here I am live, though. As you can see, I'm still alive. And as Eric said, absolutely. My son Adam is now the CEO, but you know, I'm still involved in the business because I still enjoy not only interviewing licensees as they sign up new clients, but I interact with them out on our Facebook group, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. I'm also doing webinars and holding all sorts of Zoom conferences with our licensees. So I love being in this business. After 28 years, you'd think I'd be sick of this, wouldn't you, Eric?
Absolutely. But boy, I tell you what, it's one of those things where you just kind of keep going, and it's obviously it's your baby. It was kind of birthed with you, and then through the years you've had not only Adam, but I think Linda was running the business with you a little bit, and then your daughter Sarah, and then you've had son-in-laws be a part of this. Boy, you've had just about your sister-in-law, and gosh,
my brother. Yeah, it's a
brother.
family business. And,
It's a great thing.
of course, I consider you part of the family as well, Eric. You've been around for what, 15 years?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I feel privileged to be adopted Phillips there for sure.
Well, I know people are wondering when they come to a webinar like this, are we going to try to sell you something? Well,
Right.
of course we are. We're trying to sell you on the idea that you need to start your own business. And of course, a lot of hesitation on people's part comes from the fact that we're going through this weird period here in America. Our economy is, I call it a recession. I mean, there are signs at least that we're in a recession. And if that's true, then people have hesitation to start a business because they go, is this the right time? Is it wise to do that right this moment? So we're just going to talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. And again, remember everybody, we want your input. So make sure that you're asking your questions. I'm going to be monitoring that. Patrick's got some great articles that he wants to kind of walk you through this afternoon. So anytime that we say something you've got a question about, feel free to pop in a question in there, and we'll see what we can do to help you out with that. So Patrick, I know that a lot of people might be familiar with this guy. If nobody's ever read his book from Robert Kiyosaki, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, gosh, I mean, get a hold of the book because it's still very, very valid on where we are today.
Yeah, Robert still teaches and consults people on building wealth. And he says one of the ways that people can increase their wealth is to start a part-time business. Now, folks, we want you to get to the point, of course, like many of our licensees have gotten, where you're running this full-time, you're making a six-figure income, a high six-figure income in many of them, but you got to start somewhere, right? So believe it or not, a lot of our licensees, I'd say probably 80% of them at least, Eric, have started this business as a part-time business. That's ideal to start something like this part-time, so you can keep the cash flow coming in from your full-time job, but build up the income to the point where you can just walk away from that. And so that's what we're going to teach you how to do.
Absolutely. Now, Patrick, talk to us about the economy, quote unquote, during a recession. What is really happening? I mean, because not all of us have gone to school to learn about the economy and what's going on in recession. And it's not that we're going to give any collegiate type of information here, but let's just break it down. Really, what's going on in a recession?
Yeah, first let me point out there's a link at the bottom of the screen. Now you could take screenshots during this if you wanted to, folks, but we have printed out as a PDF file all of these slides, and we've given it to your ABS rep. So the person who invited you to this can give you that PDF, and you can look up all these references yourself. But this was just a screenshot. I thought it was a good summation of what a recession is. It's reduced income. I'd say most people would agree that a lot of people have gotten a reduced income over the past couple of years. Consumer spending has declined. There are less jobs, and production falls. When you've got all four of those things, that is a recession. And so no matter what the government says or anybody else, we are struggling right now as a country in what's called a recession. And we've been through these before, but that doesn't mean that there's not ways to get through it. Like our company, for example, we've been through all sorts of inflation. We've been through the recession itself. We've been through the coronavirus. Wow. Oh, there they come. Yeah, they're popping up.
Yeah, there they are. I was trying to click through them there on the screen there.
I was talking too fast, wasn't I? Well, anyways,
that's okay.
The point is, folks, we've survived it. Now, why is that? Think about it. We are in healthcare. It is an online business that you can run from anywhere in the world that has an internet connection. And it all has to do with healthcare, which is, of course, the biggest industry in the United States, next to food, I think. It's 20% of our entire gross domestic product. So if we can make it through the last 28 years with several recessions thrown in there and viruses, then we'll be along for a long time to come.
Patrick, last week, some may be on the webinar from today that was showed up last week, and so last week we were doing an interview with Janet, and Janet was saying the same thing, that she survived all these things, but also that she can work this business from anywhere, as long as you got internet connection, you can work it, and that's what's helped keep things sustained here.
Eric, we actually had a licensee couple. This was several years ago. I don't think they do that now, but they had an RV and they had a satellite on top that got internet connection at the time. I don't know how it all worked, but they had a phone, of course, and a fax and printers. And they drove down the road visiting all the states, seeing the United States as they run their business right out of that RV. Isn't that fantastic that you could do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Patrick, I know a lot of people are wondering, well, what about doctors? Now, doctors do struggle during some times of inflation and recessions and everything else. And obviously they struggled during the pandemic. But this article obviously shows that, there's still doctors that are just kind of squeaking by financially.
2 out of 3 doctors say they're just squeaking by. Now, let that sink in for a moment, folks. One person who was very wealthy many, many years back, he said, the way to get wealthy is to find a need and fill it. Well, folks, doctors are in need right now. They are in serious need of cash flow. They went through a terrible last 2 years, and a lot of them went out of practice. They had to shut down their practice because they didn't have enough cash flow. That is what we provide. That's what you, through our teaching and training and support, will be able to provide for doctors. It's like selling popsicles in the Sahara Desert.
Absolutely. And Patrick, why don't you kind of walk through this one here? It's reasons to start a business in a recession. This is again, it's coming out of that same article that you mentioned earlier, how to start a business in a recession.
Well, they've got 6 listed here. Look, cheaper resources. Things are cheaper during a recession because there are a lot of people who are struggling, and so people reduce their prices so they can build business. That's great for everybody. Fewer competitors. Folks, there are other medical billing companies, of course, in your area that help doctors, but a lot of those had to go out of business because their overhead had gotten so high that when they had to reduce and fire people, that they went out of business. So it's great from that aspect. Then there's better credit options that are out there. If you're trying to borrow money to get into this, our licensing fee is about $29,000. This is like a franchise, folks, except we don't have royalties that you have to pay us every month. There's a one-time licensing fee of $28,990, and that's it. But if you have to borrow the money, it's easier to get that now than ever before. Easy hiring of qualified people. Maybe as you grow your business, like many of our licensees have, they've added people, sometimes just contractors, not necessarily employees, but it's easier to find qualified people during a time like this. And of course, people are looking for new partnerships. Maybe you have to partner with somebody else that to get the funds to put into this business, or borrow it from Uncle John, or maybe you just go into partnership with somebody. They're the money person, and you're the person that's going to work the business. And then, of course, there's room for negotiation. Everybody knows that as things are tighter, everybody's more open to negotiation, except don't try to buy a new car right now.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
You cannot negotiate on a new car.
No, you can't. Matter of fact, the people are selling their used cars more than they're selling getting even more for that. So yeah, you're right about that, about the cars. But again, about the different types of businesses that could be started. Now, we're going to share with everybody on here some businesses that have actually started during recessions and have done very well. I mean, we could even go back with our licensees that have started during recessions themselves, and that they're still going today. So, but we're going to share some of that. But really, the different types are, the first one you've got there is a home-based business, which is what we are.
And that is ideal because that's where people want to be. They want to work out of their home. They've learned during this virus pandemic that's easy with technology that's available, like this Zoom option that we're using right here, to run a business out of your home. And then, of course, it says all online businesses. Well, that's what we are. That we're completely online. In fact, folks, we used to have to go pick up paperwork from the doctor to do their billing. Now, everything is done online. There is no paper involved, none whatsoever. It's service-based businesses are good to start during a recession. Well, that's what you're doing. You're offering a service to doctors. Low investment businesses, folks. $29,000 may sound like a lot of money to you if you've never invested in the business, but if you look at all the franchises that are out there, goodness, you're looking at 50 to a $500,000, 50,000 to a $500,000.
Right. Right.
And then recycling businesses. Well, I couldn't come up with anything that we relating to recycling, but it does say that these businesses take advantage of the fact that during a recession, people are looking to save money wherever they can. Folks, during any kind of economy, doctors want to save money. We can help them do that.
You bet. Ebony's got a couple of questions here, so let me answer those for her. First one is, does the license fee cover multiple practices? Yes, all you need is the one business license fee from us, and you can have one doctor, or you can have 100 doctors with that one. And but get back with the business coach that you're working with here, because each of those doctors will have a separate account, but the licensing fee of what Patrick's talking about covers it, whether you're doing one doctor or 1,000, it doesn't matter. And then she's also asking, can the technology work for physicians in Africa? Now, it's whenever you're doing billing, and you're doing billing through any of the billing platforms that are here in the United States, they're based upon what's called the CMS 1500. So that means if they're Medicare based, which is everything is based here on the United States, that all the insurances do their billing from, it's based upon what's called the CMS 1500 form. So I would say probably it would not work in Africa because they're not based on the CMS 1500 platform. That CMS stands for the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services. So hopefully that helped to answer your question there, Ebony.
Yeah, good questions. Thanks, Ebony.
Yeah. Okay, so Patrick, I think you got one last quote here from the How to Start a Business in a Recession.
Yes, and this is saying, this is a couple that run a business called Mansa Money Clothing. It says, although there are risks with starting a business during a recession, there's the possibility of being laid off or furloughed during a recession. Folks, if you haven't thought about that, let that sink in. It might be that you are going to get that little pink slip soon because there is a recession, depending on what kind of business you're in, of course. But it says when you work for yourself, job security is much more predictable. This is one of many reasons why there is no time like the present to go into business for yourself. So folks, we're giving you these quotes from other sources so that you can look it up and do your own research. Don't believe what I say. Certainly don't believe what Eric says. You just never know. You know, we could be just making stuff up, right, Eric?
You bet, all the time. All right, so let's talk about a few businesses that everybody's going to kind of know. Now, obviously, some of these are huge companies, but they've started during a recession. I mean, the first one that we found here, Patrick, all the way back to 1908, was General Motors. I mean, they started during an economic recession.
Yeah, and the only reason we're pointing these companies out, folks, is to let you realize that there is an opportunity during a recession or any kind of economic hard times. General Motors is one of them. Here's Hewlett Packard. They got their start during the recession of 1937 to 38. Let's just buzz on through these, Eric. Oh yeah, there you go. 57 to 58 recession, the first Hyatt hotel opened. Who would have thought of opening a hotel during the recession? There's Microsoft. They were founded during the oil embargo recession of 1973 to 75. And of course, the Great Recession in 2007 to 2009, the most recent one, saw the creation of several startups. You've heard of Uber, right?
Uber, yeah.
Venmo, that's how you pay people through your phone. You can send money from one person to another. That was started in 2009.
2009, yeah.
And Eric, I love this story here. This is Airbnb. Now, I've always wondered why they called it Airbnb. I'm going to show you why. First of all, these are the three guys that actually started it in 2007. It's now worth $31 billion. And one of these guys gave a TED Talk, and he says in this TED Talk, what you see here, it's a screenshot that I took from the TED Talk. He was writing to one of his partners. He said, I thought of a way to make a few bucks, turning our place into a designer's bed and breakfast, offering young designers, this was a convention that was going to be held in their city, a place to crash during the 4-day event, complete with, get this, wireless internet and small desk and a sleeping mat. They found these blow up beds, and breakfast. So there's the error. You see, it was a blown up bed that they just stuck in a room in their apartment and let people come and plop down there for the convention. I thought that was great. Now it's worth $31 billion. Folks, never laugh at an idea.
Yeah, don't ever laugh over small beginnings. That's for sure. Yeah.
Right.
All right, Patrick, another couple of articles, and we're going to kind of get into some of the meat of what people are getting here at ABS so that they can kind of get some things kicked off here. But this article right here is 10 reasons to start a business during a recession. And again, this article goes back to 2020, but gosh, it's still very relevant because number one, because other people won't. I thought that's great.
I hadn't even thought about that as a reason, but think about it. One good reason to start a business is some people just won't do it. I mean, there'll be less people starting businesses, certainly during a recession than during normal times. And so that's an excellent time so that you are actually way ahead of people in their thinking that, look, I can make this work because, well, some people are just not risk averse, during recessions.
That's true. Number two is established businesses. Some of them will be struggling. And we do know that, gosh, what a great opportunity to go in and snatch up some new business when some others are struggling.
And I'm sure, Eric, that during the recession, because people didn't have the support and the training and the ongoing tools that we've developed for our licensees, that there were billing companies who probably went out of business because they had built themselves up where they had a huge staff. They had an office that they were renting for $1,000 a month. They had all this equipment and computers. They'd invested way too much. And so they were struggling and probably went out of business. I'm just guessing that. I don't know. I don't have any figures on that. But
Patrick, when you come off the heels of the pandemic and then you go into a recession, obviously that's gonna hurt some businesses, and some businesses have started and didn't make it. But now, this office obviously is another reason people will be looking for cheaper alternatives. And boy, there's a lot of doctors looking for, some help here.
That's right. And all we want to do is show you folks how we've learned over these past 28 years to actually show a doctor, not sell them, but let them convince themselves, educate them to the point where they realize that you can save them money and increase their cash flow, their revenue. Folks, there's just no other business like this that's out there that's in such an ideal industry like healthcare.
Right. Being a new business will have less obstacles. And that kind of starts back with the first thing. There are a lot of people who are not starting a business.
Right. So new customer, every once in a while, Eric, will have somebody ask us, well, look, are the doctors want to do business with me? I'm brand new. I'm just opening an office, even though they're part of the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies in the world. That's us. They might be reluctant because they don't have a track record. But you see, we have the ability to show doctors that saving money is above most other considerations in their minds. And that's what we do. So long as your product or service stands up to scrutiny, our lack of trading history, of doing things in this industry, your lack of it, I should say, will not be the barrier to new sales. That will be all possible because you're a part of our network.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, folks, just as a reminder, we're getting close to the bottom of the hour. We're at the 25-minute mark here. So I just want to make sure everybody remembers where the Q&A box is. So if you got any questions, feel free to pop those in there. We'll be looking at those as we go through the webinar here. Okay, so everybody should know Tony Robbins, right? I mean, in his article that businesses that thrive in a recession, the number one that he has there is healthcare.
Yeah, I think the number one was food or something like that. And then healthcare, as he says that demand doesn't decline when the economy does. Folks, healthcare will always be needed unless we find a way to heal and solve most of our health problems. Healthcare, doctors, hospitals, they'll always be around, meaning that the demand for it does not change based on its price. Demand for healthcare may even rise during a recession, he says, as people seek help with mental health. And yes, you can bill for therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists. Yeah, all that.
I think again last week, whenever I did the webinar interview with Jeanette last week, she was saying that she works with some mental health doctors that she's doing billing for. So absolutely. And then Forbes talks about this as well, as small businesses boom post-pandemic and new ways of doing business.
Yeah, it's just incredible. If you think about it, nearly 27 million small businesses in the United States generate about 50% of our gross domestic product, which is why they play a crucial role in the survival of our country's economy. Even after the first year of the pandemic, there actually was a small business boom, according to some report.
Yeah, absolutely. So folks, I mean, even everything that we've shared with you up to this point, you can see that, obviously, is there a risk of starting a business during a recession? I'm going to tell you, there's a risk of starting a business in the middle of a recession, and sometimes whenever it's not a recession. It just depends upon what you put into it, and then who's helping you and who's backing you. So the question is, why is a recession a good time to start a business? Well, the first thing we're going to tell you about is because right now doctors are in pain. Now, Patrick, what does that mean? Doctors are in pain. Okay, you're muted again.
I'm sorry. They're in pain because they're hurting from the cash flow aspect of staying in practice. And we have proof of that because we've partnered with a doctor, Dr. Vicki Rackner, who was a general surgeon for many, many years, saw thousands of patients. And then when she decided to change what she was doing, she wanted to help other doctors to survive. And so she wrote a book called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. And you can get a copy of this, by the way, from your ABS rep. If you get back with the person who invited you to the webinar, they'll send you a digital copy of this. But look what she says. Physicians in private practice all walk away from an average of 30% of their incomes when they don't follow up on rejected insurance claims. Now, let's pause just for a second, Eric. Explain to them what they mean by that. What's rejected claims?
Okay, so that's pretty easy for us to all understand that when a patient goes and sees a doctor, well, there's a claim that is generated that is sent to Medicare, or it's sent to Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare, or whatever it may be. And whenever that claim gets to that insurance company, for whatever reason, there's something in the way that claim has been built or created, there's an error in it. So that claim gets rejected and it gets sent back to the original person who created the bill. That would be like a billing company or even the biller at the doctor's office. So you can see that if, gosh, an average of 30% of that goes by there, that's an incredible amount of money that's not being collected by the insurance company or by the doctors themselves.
Yeah, and Dr. Vicki actually outsourced her billing when she was in private practice. And so she says, outsourcing your medical. Now, remember, this book is written to doctors, and you'll be able to give copies of this physical book to a doctor as a gift as part of your marketing. And it says in the book, outsourcing your medical billing could bring claim rejection rates to as low as 2 to 5%. Now, Eric, you know that we have the records behind the scenes from our technology partners showing that the rejection rate is less than 2% in our case. But overall, even if it was less than 5% compared to 30%, that's a lot more money in the doctor's pocket at the end of the year. Then she says, this may be the fastest and easiest way to increase your cash flow. So there you are. We have the documentation for it right there.
Yeah, and also remember this, everybody, that you're making money on what you help the doctor collect. So think about this. If you're helping collect another 30% more for the doctors, obviously you're making more money again for yourself. So imagine everybody's wondering, how can I make more money once I get started? Well, when you start collecting more money for the doctors, obviously you're giving yourself a raise. But it's not just Dr. Rackner that's saying this, or Patrick that's saying this, or me that's saying this. These are statistics that we're talking about that go all the way up to government levels. So the United States Government Accountability Office, the GAO office, does say that, you can read it here, that the GAO review indicates that the variation in application and denied rates across insurers have occurred for several years, with rates ranging from about 6% to over 30%. So again, that's just not Dr. Rackner saying it, or Patrick saying it, or me saying it. It's what the what it is there. And then this one, which is a big group for billers, it's the Healthcare Business Management Association, HBMA. It's not unusual, they say, to have 35% or higher claim rejection rates, which require extensive and expensive follow-ups. Patrick, these are the industry's leaders that are saying this information here.
Yeah. So again, folks, we're trying to document this for you so you don't have to, wonder whether we're just making these figures up. This is real. This is a real, look, I tell people, Eric, this is a real business based on a real need in the marketplace, and we have real solutions for doctors. That's how you get successful in any business. You got to have a real business. This is not a fad. It's not going to come and go. This is not like, some of the businesses that you see out there, like Hooper Scooper, for example. I don't know why somebody would open that franchise, but we've got them here in the Fort Worth, Dallas area. I've seen the trucks.
Yeah. Now, let's add one more thing to this, everybody. Everybody listen and listen closely. Even we've already know about the percentage of claims that are not getting paid. Now, it's the length in which they're getting paid. And again, typically, the time for a doctor to get paid can be up to 30 days, but it's not unusual for that to be as far out as 90 days. And again, as Patrick mentioned, our average of our licensees that are working their own business, billing for their doctors, their rejection rate is less than 2%, and they're getting their doctors paid within 14 days. So imagine for those who are worried about, how can I go sell myself to the doctors? If you just tell the story is going to sell itself.
Yeah, now let's just put that in this term. Let's say that you bill for a doctor $100,000 in 1 month's time. That's typically done for even a general practitioner. $100,000, and the doctor's having a rejection rate of 30%. Now you get to charge the doctor a percentage of only $70,000 that you collected for the doctor, right? But if you can collect 98% of that, that's 98,000 that you now get to base your percentage on. And that percentage runs from 5 to 8%, depending on the type of doctor, the volume, and a lot of other things. But the point is, it's a whole lot more money in the doctor's pocket than he would be getting from any other way, any other company, or even his own internal people. And it's a lot more money for you too.
You bet. Let's see. Kanan is asking, with the licensing fee, do you provide leads of the doctors, or how we approach the doctor's office who already have medical coders doing the medical billing as well? Patrick, I know that that's been asked of us, gosh, for as long as I've been here, for over 15 years. People ask, do we give leads? We've actually done webinars on whether we give leads or not. And leads are, if we were to give you a lead, that lead is already an old lead. And that wouldn't be servicing you very well. But what we do teach, and Patrick's going to show you here in a moment, of showing you how to get your doctors and get in front of those doctors. And remember, you can, with the help and the support of American Business Systems, you don't have to have a background in coding or medical billing, because you're going to have immediately 28 years of experience with that right off the bat. So, Kanan, hopefully that helped answer your question there. Patrick, the second reason why it might be a good time to start a business in medical billing during a recession is because the doctors need a remedy. If they're in pain, gosh, don't they need a remedy as well?
Yeah, and let's show them how we find what that remedy should be for a particular doctor, because every doctor might be different, right? We do what's called a practice analysis. And all this is, folks, is just a few pages of questions that you are shown how to go through and ask to the doctor or the office manager a lot of times. And once you've asked those questions, you now know what the doctor's office needs are. And once you know what the needs are, then you can go back to your office and produce on one of the pieces of software that we have. It's a spreadsheet that you fill in the blanks, basically, and it'll produce a report that looks like this, which is called a practice revenue report. Now let's zoom in on that, Eric, and show them that in this particular example, for example, this doctor was doing 300 claims a month. Average amount of the claim was about $100 each. Their rejection rate for this doctor, let's say, was 25%, not 30, but just 25%. They were only collecting $22,500 then. And after some costs that are involved there in doing it inside their own office, they really just had about 17,500 that they were actually, pocketing for the doctor.
Right.
If we could reduce that to 2% rejection rate, as you can see, that increases the doctor's revenue by $10,000 a month. Now, I don't know about you, Eric, but that's nothing to sneeze at. Another $222,000 in the doctor's pocket that they would not have seen had they not utilized your service. Folks, let that sink in just for a moment. As a doctor, if you're looking at that report, wouldn't you just at least pause and say, maybe I ought to try this guy. Maybe I ought to give this service a try if they could increase my revenue. Remember, it's based on the numbers that they give you. So they can't argue with it. It's a great way. And that's why, folks, we say there's no selling involved in this. If anything, this does all the selling for you.
And one thing that you and I rarely bring out about this particular report, and that's right here underneath projected. And the third line down, you got the rejected, then the money collected, and then the total monthly cost of outsourcing, $2,058. So that would be the money that you're collecting. So that would be what you're invoicing them for the service.
Right.
And they're still getting $10,000 more a month. So
exactly.
This is an incredible way to allow. Once you've done the practice analysis and you put the information in here, you basically let this here do the selling for you. And then, Patrick, people are wanting to know, gosh, how do I even get to that point? So, we've got presentations that, again, you're going to show here in a moment how we teach all that. But I think the biggest seller of everything is whenever the staff of the support team here at American Business Systems actually gets engaged with our business owners, doctors, through a demonstration. And so this is a wonderful way of us helping you close the deals.
Yeah, folks, what we're saying is that when you run across a doctor and you do that practice analysis and that revenue report, then you can come back to our website where we have a private login for you as one of our members, one of our business owners. You go into that and then you set up with us a live demo. Now we do the demo. You don't have to do the demo. We know enough about the system to show the doctor and answer all their questions. And you can sit in on that, of course, as a third party, just like you're sitting in on this meeting with me and Eric. And you can listen and see exactly what we're doing to help you get that doctor to realize the benefits of our system. When they see some of the things that our system will do, they are blown away. Eric, you've given some of these demos and you know that they just sit back in the background. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And because it's one thing that you can talk about it on paper and then show them the numbers, but then when we show them how we're going to be able to do it, obviously the doctors go, wow, I mean, why haven't we been doing this in the first place? So that's what it means that you become that the doctors need a remedy, and then how you become the remedy. And it's because, again, you're dealing with a company that has its billing platform all in the clouds, and which we mean by that is, it's through a service, for a SaaS, what it's called,
software as a service, right?
Yeah, and it's not having to be loaded on your computer or anything. You've got it. You just tap into the internet and you can pull the information, and it's all secure. What better way than you having to worry about updates and upgrades and patches and security levels and all of that? As long as you can log into an internet somewhere, you're got a secure login to the iClaim EMRx platform.
Yeah, as Eric said, it's very secure. It's what they call HIPAA compliant, meaning the rules and regulations that the government has for patient privacy and so forth are all built into our system. You literally, though, never have anything residing on your computer. Let's say you had a laptop, you just went and bought one at Best Buy, and you went down to a McDonald's that has an internet connection, and you log into our system. That's all there is to it. There's nothing that's downloaded to your computer. You're in there. You're actually using the iClaim practice management system to do the billing. The doctor can use the electronic medical record system, by the way, if you give them access to it on their end when they're seeing the patient. And then, of course, we have a patient portal like a lot of systems have nowadays. And folks, our clearinghouse is built into our system. We're the only company that I know of that has a built-in clearinghouse. And that's a
Yeah.
big deal.
You bet. I'm just showing some screenshots what Patrick is kind of wrapping up there and going through the patient portal. But what he means there is that the clearinghouse is built inside of it, folks. The only way through any billing system that's out there, the only way that you can get a claim from your billing system to the insurance company is through this thing called a clearinghouse. Now, we're not going to go into a lot of detail about it this afternoon, but you would have to, if you had got your own billing software somewhere, you would have to go out and connect and contract with a particular clearinghouse that you could send those to, so that clearinghouse can send it on into the insurance company. With ours, it's automatically inside of it. You don't have to go do anything. It's already built in. So that is, you can see this whole continual chain, basically from the start with the patient to the doctor to you as the billing company, and from there, it's going directly to the insurance company. That's why we can talk about that we've got a less than a 2% rejection rate and getting those doctors paid within 7 to 14 days. That's the key difference of what makes us different than any other places out there, along with the training that you're getting and the support mechanisms that you're getting.
Yeah, now, Eric, as we go into this, let me refer back to Kanan. His question was about leads. First of all, folks,
Sure.
There is no such thing as a lead. If a company says that they could give you a lead to a doctor who is ready to sign up or is interested in medical billing, why wouldn't they just go straight to that doctor and sign them up themselves? Right. And some companies who sell a training program like we do, they're actually in the billing business themselves. So They could take that doctor as a client for themselves if they wanted to, right? And look, if we had doctors ready to sign up, Eric, our license fee wouldn't be just $28,990. It'd be maybe a $98,990, right? Because if we had leads of doctors ready to sign up, we wouldn't need people to go out and do that. We'd sign them up ourselves, or we'd sell our license fee for a whole lot more. So let us show you. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say that Ebony was asking the question, so what sets us apart other than just the clearinghouse? And it was kind of like what I was saying there towards the end. I think you were typing in your question whenever I was saying this, but it really is because of the clearinghouse. You're able to keep those claim rejections down below 2% very easily. And then again, getting those doctors paid within 7 to 14 days. That's the advantage there. So remember, we talked about there are some doctors that have rejected claims as high as 30%, and then sometimes they're not getting paid within 30 to 90 days. Again, those are the advantages, again, because of the clearinghouse. So hopefully that helped answer your question there too as well, Ebony. Now, Patrick, one of the things that they're getting from us here is the opportunity to use and be a part of the written book called The New Thriving Medical Practice. Why don't you share about how they become actively involved in the book itself?
Yeah, this is a book that I wrote along with Dr. Vicki Ragnar that basically is about doctors and how they can thrive in their medical practice. Folks, there's nothing more pertinent right now than how to thrive. It says how to get off the hamster wheel, work smarter, not harder, generate more revenue, and enjoy greater career satisfaction in a post-pandemic world. See, this is very relevant to doctors. When they see this, you're able to order these books. Well, you get a supply of them, of course, when you first join us. I think it's 20 copies. But when you run out of those, you can order more at, I don't know, like $4 a copy. It's very inexpensive. It's a paperback book, about 200 pages. And as you can see, your name can be right on the front cover. You see that fake name there, Susan Smith, CMRM. That's a Certified Medical Revenue Manager. Your name could be right there on the front cover. And your contact information can be right inside the book. So folks, this is a marketing tool unlike anything else. There, he's pointed out right there on the screen. You see, there's your contact information right at the end of the forward. There's nothing else like that. When you want to know what's different between us and our competitors, it's that we know how to market to doctors. And here's how you do it. You give them a copy of this book, marked up with little tabs and highlights like we'll teach you. And when the doctor gets that book, they will call you up and say, hey, I think some of these problems you've highlighted are problems that we have here in our office. Can you come talk to us? That's what makes us different from anybody else. Nobody else has anything like this.
This next slide really kind of sums it all up, and is that you become the solution because again, you're able to again touch on these two things there. Your rejection rates are less than 2%. You're getting the doctors paid within 7 to 10 days or 7 to 14 days. Kind of goes on with Kanan's question here. Rejections can occur in by the incorrect codes by medical coders. Does ABS system can it check for integrity of the information provided by the medical coders? And the answer is yes, because that can be done with inside the system, because again, it helps the doctors code properly. It'll also catch any issues before you actually send it to the insurance companies. So yes, it certainly it absolutely does catch it before it goes off. And then Patrick, as we kind of get wrapped up here, we've got just a few minutes left here, but the fourth big reason of why it's a good time to start, during a recession, if the doctors are in pain and they need a remedy, you become the remedy. Part of that is ABS is here to support you, which kind of goes along with, again, what makes ABS different and what makes them different is because they've got an entire support team behind them.
Yeah, as Eric pointed out earlier, folks, we have ancillary services in addition to the medical billing. Now, this happens to be our company behind NextGen out in California that we actually visited their offices and took this picture. This is their support area. This is their support department. Folks, we have over 100 people that can support you from coast to coast. And in addition to that, we have other business owners like yourself that can coach you in any areas that you want. Let's say you just signed up a podiatrist and you need somebody to help you with that specifically. We have licensees that we pay them to be a coach for you, and we'll get them involved with you and get you up and running with that podiatrist. So the support is fantastic. Eric, I'd like to move right on through this if we could to the professional certification, for example. I don't want to go to the MIRMA site, but folks, this is part of what sets us apart. The certification that you're going to get as a certified medical revenue manager, not a medical biller. You don't need a professional medical biller code or coder certification. We give you much more than that through the MIRMA organization. Then there's our support website. Now, Eric, I don't know if you're connected to the internet. You'd have to log in probably to get to the actual site, but somewhere down the line, we'll show people a tour of this actual site, folks, that you're given access to as a part of your one-time license fee. And that gives you access to literally dozens and dozens of different documents and webinars and videos and training that you wouldn't have otherwise. That's all a part of the license fee.
You bet. And I know you want to talk about training. So Patrick, I'm just letting you know, we've got about 10 minutes left here, and I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions that might come in here, but you really want to kind of do something that you've never done before. And that is to kind of go into a more in-depth review of looking at what they're actually getting in the training. So why don't you share a little bit about that, and I'll then you let me know when you're ready for me to take it back over.
All right, folks, this is something that we've never shown before. I've gone into detail here from our actual training slides that we use during the online virtual training that you'll get, and show you exactly what's in each one of the modules. Now, I'm not going to take time to read all of these bullet points, but look, if you want to see how detailed our training is, this is just module 1. All right, each module is about 90 minutes long, and we go through everything that you're seeing right here in that one module. You schedule these with your online trainer according to your schedule. Here's module 2. Look, we go into detail in every one of these modules about the topic that we're covering there. Here's module 3. Here's module 4. Folks, again, a lot of time and energy and money has been put into developing this training, and the training is always up to date because we're constantly making changes to it as we need to keep up with what the changes are in the industry. Here's module 5, as you can see. Here's module 6. And by the way, this whole thing is being recorded, so you could ask your ABS rep who sent you to this webinar that you like to see the recording of it, and then you can scroll through this yourself and pause and see what's in there. There's module 6, here's module 7. Again, I'm just going to move on through here pretty quickly now because we're running out of time. But I just wanted you to see that we do go into detail. Eric, can you take back over, get back to the slides?
I certainly can. Let me see if I can do that and then get back over into here. And hopefully that got us right back over to there.
Yeah.
Not only you get all the training, but there's ongoing webinars. There's ongoing. Patrick mentioned earlier that he does a lot of these outside of the what we call Wednesday webinars, what we're doing with you, but on Fridays and other special days, we go into a lot more support and motivations, and then the ongoing training and that's already recorded that you can go there to as well. So Patrick, I mean, my goodness, you've got everything that a brand new person that's going, you know what, I'm ready to take that leap to get started, even though it is a recession, to have everything that they need at their fingertips.
Yeah, it's so detailed. This was a lot of fun going through some of these webinars with people, because we did a Zoom meeting where we had people just turn on their, if they wanted to, they can turn on their webcams, they can ask questions, we interact with them. It's called a roundtable. And we do all sorts of training in addition to that. One of them is from what we call our past webinars. So Eric, again, can I take that over? Let me see where you're at. You're back on that slide there. If I can just show the ongoing training and motivation, I'm gonna turn this on just one more time here to show this one. I think this is it right here. Okay, now folks, we're actually storing all of our videos right now on Vimeo. This is just one of the sites where we store our videos, but I wanted you to see that in this site, there's all sorts of videos that we've already done. This is just some of the training. I'm going to scroll through it here very quickly, just so you can see that there are topics here that we've covered in the past. Some of them just recently, some of them several months back. They're all up to date, though. They're all pertinent. They're all good information. Some of them last an hour and a half, as you can see from the time codes there on those. And folks, these go on a regular basis. I mean, once a month, sometimes twice a month, we'll do another one of these webinars and invite you to ask questions live during the webinar. There's nothing else like this out there, folks. I just wanted to give you a feel for what you're getting for your investment with us. Is not just online training, but ongoing motivation and encouragement through these webinars. Okay, Eric.
Okay, let me see if I can take this back over and we'll kind of start wrapping this thing up here. So let's get right on over into doing the best you can to take the risk out of getting started. Why don't you talk about the 100% money back guarantee?
Yeah, now folks, listen very carefully to this, because I know people find this one hard to believe, Eric. When we came up with this a few years back, I know the whole staff thought I was crazy, because I said, look, why don't we just offer a guarantee, 100% money back if they don't like what they see? And people thought I was crazy because they said, well, couldn't they steal everything we have and start their own thing and get their money back? I said, yes, they could. But folks, since we've offered this, only a handful of people have asked for their money back. You know why? Because they realize the value of our ongoing support and training, not just what we've already got out there. So you also get a guarantee that if in the first 30 days, after you've completed our training, which you can do easily in 30 days, you don't like what you saw, and after you've seen everything that we have during the training, you can still ask for your money back. And we'll be glad to do that. We don't want your money. What we want you is to build a business that's profitable for you and for us, because as a company, we make a few pennies on all ongoing transactions. So we don't want you to just take this at home and put it on a shelf. We want you to actually build a business that makes you money and that makes us money as well.
You bet. Now, folks, I know that some of you, I mean, we got 5 minutes left, or less than 5 minutes left. And some of you might need to hop off a little bit sooner. But before you go, we're going to go through about 6 steps that you might want to start taking advantage of. But before you do that, you're going to want to sign up for next Wednesday's webinar. Patrick's going to be doing an interview with Jeff Ramos. And what a great story you're going to hear from one of our business owners here, Jeff.
Yeah, this is Jeff and his son here. As you can see, they're a part of our Facebook group, and this is the picture that he posted up there for that. I just thought I would tell you folks that when we do these live webinars, think about it. You're actually hearing from somebody who's been through our training, who's started their business, who has clients, who's building a recurring income with the business, and you can ask them questions live during these interviews with me. We record them all, of course, so there's dozens of them out there on our YouTube channel, which we'll talk about here in a second. But just go back to our regular website down at the bottom there, absystems.com, and click on that button up at the top that says attend a live webinar, and you'll be signing up for this one.
All right, let's go through these 6 next steps here, Patrick, and we'll give opportunity if we can do this quickly enough. And if there's any questions, I don't see any questions yet, but let's start with the first one. So the first thing that you're going to want them to do is download a research guide. How do they get that, Patrick?
Well, they just go back to their ABS rep. And if you don't know who that is, look, there's a phone number right there on the screen and an email address. You can just email us. Who's my rep? I don't know who my rep is. We'll tell you, and we'll put them in contact with you and let them know that you want the research guide. Most of them have a link to that in their emails, by the way. So go back to the email that invited you to this. You might see it there. Anyways, you can see, folks, it's a PDF file that has 65 pages of information that's nowhere on our website. So if you want the real inside scoop about what this business is all about, including the kind of money that can be made, quotes from doctors, all kinds of good information, just ask for that guide.
You bet. And then you mentioned the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/YABS. Patrick, this is kind of what you were showing us earlier, but in a different area.
Yeah, these are past webinars that have been done. That basically is for people who come to these prospective webinars, we call them, like on Wednesdays. So if you want to know that we've covered every possible question you could ever ask about our business, go to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch that. You don't have to be a part of our business group of owners. You can just go ahead and watch those as you need to at no cost.
And then one of the best things that you can do is talk to other business owners like Jeff and others that you can talk to face to, or at least over the phone, maybe even over a Zoom call.
Yeah, we have a list of several dozen licensees that have given us the permission to give their contact information out. These are people like you see pictured here. These are actual licensees or business owners that have agreed to be on those calls and answer your questions. We don't tell them what to say, folks. They can answer any question they want, any way they want to. So just dig in and get the real information about what this business is all about.
And I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we help you with to help you get your first doctor is to do a live demo. But even before you get there, why not see a live demo now? So get with your rep that's invited you here and have them do a one-on-one demonstration of the software with you and your partner or whoever else that you're looking to get in this business in. Patrick, this is one of the most comforting things I'll say that someone that's looking to get in this business do to end up doing a demo with us.
Yeah, folks, these are not sales pitches, by the way. I was on one just the other day. It was a phone call or a Zoom meeting with a salesman who tried to close me, and nothing bugs me more than people trying. Look, we can't close you. You either have $29,000 or know where to get it, or you don't, right? So all we want to do is give you all the information you can possibly need and answer all your questions. That's what these demos are all about. So ask your ABS rep to give that to you as well.
And then look over the purchase agreement. Patrick, it's a whopping 4 pages there.
Yeah, it's not very detailed or technical or legal, I should say. It's got everything you need to know about this business, including the money back guarantee is in there, the training, what you get for your investment. It's all right there. And so just ask for a copy of that. And as soon as you fill that out and get your funding put together, just send it in and we'll guide you step by step as to how to do that. Then you'll schedule your training. Now, I told you earlier, you're going to schedule that with your trainer. Your trainer is basically a licensee, a business owner who's been in this business long enough to be very successful. They're making at least a 6-figure income, and they are the ones that will guide you through and answer all your questions. Of course, we pay them for their time doing the training, but they have no other motivation other than they're people who have been successful and also want to see you be successful as well.
Very good, Patrick. We made it again. It's another hour in the bucket there for us.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see, Rosalio. Did I say that right? I can't read that.
I believe so.
I got to read. Yeah, says, did you say that ABS makes dollars on each transaction? Yes. Our commitment to you is that we're never going to charge you another dime ever for anything. Support, upgrades, new codes, new marketing materials. Of course, you'll purchase them if you like them, but we don't charge you anything. That means we have to make a few pennies on each transaction, and that doesn't come from you. That comes from our technology partners. So for every claim that goes through NextGen, they pay us a few pennies. That's how we have an ongoing income and keeps us in business, we wouldn't have to sell another license, Eric, and we can still stay in business from those
Right.
revenues that we get. So
You
that's how that works.